I found that I could work through anything with you, with Sasha, and decided that I want to raise your children not like my own, but as my own.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell is happening right now? What?
We've been on over 100 dates, and there's a date that we have in mind that.
Oh my gosh.
That I want us to continue this courtship forever. The greatest gift that you can give anyone is the gift of your time, and I want to give you the gift of the rest of my life.
Seriously? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Will you marry me?
Of course. Yes. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Did you guys know this? It's still recording.
That was the point.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh my god.
Maybach music.
So in love with you to the end of time. Hedge of protection in between the line. Nothing better than us. People wish that everlasting love made me a Democrat. Unconditional, but you get it that. Count on me, I'll be there. Gifted rap from God to become one, and bodies touch to the morning sun.
Hello, this is Matthew.
And I'm Sasha, and you're listening to Crazy Love Stories.
This week is our season finale, and we have an announcement to make.
We are engaged, y'all. We put a ring on it.
I liked it, so I put a ring on it.
He liked it, so we put a ring on it. Some of you know this already, and some of you are just hearing it for the first time. But we know either way you have a lot of questions. So let's get into how it happened. Crazy Love Stories is a Simon Says Creative Works production. Our theme music is composed by Jordan J. River. Follow us on Twitter at Crazy Love Stories. That's LUV. For more dating and relationship advice, check out New Perspectives by Matt Phifer. Visit his website at newperspectivesdating.com.
Getting engaged is like is the first hill of the roller coaster, and you hear those clicking, the loud sound. It's really violent metal, chunk, and you go, what's going on here? You know, boy, this thing's really goes high. And then you go over the top. The wedding is at the top. You go over the top is the wedding, and then you're just screaming.
Well, even if you make plans, you never think you're really ready for marriage.
No, it's like any growth. You can't be ready for it because it's growth. It's going to be new. It's going to be new. You're going to have a new life. You're going to be a new person.
Yes, I've been waiting to kind of get some things off my chest because I've been hiding this for months and months, and I'm relieved that it's finally the cat is out of the bag.
And I had no idea. You were sneaking around, you were pulling in different family members and friends as part of your big major plot, and I had no clue. This one, you completely caught me by surprise.
And I just wanted to tell everyone who was a part of it that kept your mouth shut. Thank you very much. You did a great job. You didn't even hint, and it wasn't even a worry or anything. And some of you guys have known for a long time at this point. You know, it took a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. There were moments where the surprise could have turned into a disaster, but it didn't, thanks to a lot of your help.
And let's set the scene a little bit so people are aware. We're recording this from Canton, Ohio, which is actually Matt's hometown. This is where he was born.
Birthplace. I don't consider it hometown. Birthplace. Yeah.
So this is where he was born and spent a little bit of time.
Yeah.
And we were at his grandmother's house, where lots of family who still live in town were able to come over, and family from out of town, Matt's mom and stepdad and his aunt and uncle were all flying in to be here this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Were they flying in for our engagement, Matt? Or, I mean, because now you can tell me. Were they flying in for that, or were they just going to be here anyway, and then this was just the perfect time to put your plan in
There was multiple reasons. So this was a part of the reason why. So there were a couple of dates that I had in mind that we were talking about, that everyone was going to be together. This was one of them. May 6th was one of them. And after we were talking and we started planning, we started thinking about what we wanted to do. We decided that this was the best opportunity, that my grandma was going to be there. Other aunts and uncles were going to be able to be there. My Uncle Rick drove up from Columbus. So it was the best opportunity that we could have everybody there, including the kids. Because if we would have done it May 6th, then at my aunt's hat tea, she has an event every year
in Denver.
In Denver, if we would have done it there would have been a lot of people that would want to be there that couldn't be there.
Right.
So.
And what was nice too was you were a complete gentleman. You asked my parents beforehand for their blessing, and they said.
But that was an event, first of all. Oh. So every little thing was an event. It could have turned into a disaster. So I called your mom, first of all, and and you've had a lot of things going on in your family. So there was a lot of heavy hearts, and so it was tough, even wondering if this was even the right time.
And just to put a little context for those who don't know, we had a couple of unfortunate happenings in my family in the month of February. It was a very sad time for us. We lost 2 family members, and so that must have been difficult for you, trying to figure out, I know I have my plans to take things to the next step with Sasha, but is this the right time to bring this up?
Right. Exactly that. So the plans were already in place when, some of these unfortunate events started to happen. And so there's this fine line of timing and, talking about something that's so special to an entire family in a time of mourning. And so, but the plans were already in place. People already booked flights. People already were on their way. Ring preparation was already underway, and it was hard to kind of reel it back in. But at the same time, I want to be respectful to your family too. And so I really had to kind of slow play it and really kind of gauge your feelings, first of all, but then kind of gauge, your parents' emotional status and things of that nature. And got to a point where I felt like, obviously hearts were heavy, but at the same time, they would have been okay with moving forward.
It's safe to say that you choosing March 4th was a critical time, because we needed that good news. We really did. And even still right now, of course, my phone is blowing up. My social media is blowing up, because this is like breaking news. This just happened. And everyone's just finding out and calling us and congratulating us. And quite a few family members have said the same thing. Wow, we really needed this news right now. We're so happy for you guys.
So I called your mom first, and she was extremely, extremely excited. She told me not to just take one hand. She told me to take both hands in marriage.
Aww, Mommy.
But my big concern was my future father-in-law. Not that I thought he was going to say anything negative or anything like that, but...
Now, my dad is old school Jamaican now, guys, so...
He doesn't answer his phone.
That could be scary. Yes, He does not answer his phone. He's very bad at that.
And so my concern was that if I call him and he doesn't answer, that he was going to call you thinking that something was wrong. And so I wanted to make sure that he knew to call me before he called you if he didn't answer. And so your mom called him and let him know that I was going to be calling, that everything was okay. She couldn't tell him why I was calling, but she set the stage basically. So I called him, Actually, let me back up. Before I called him, you were starting to grow very suspicious. Because for those of you who have listened to multiple episodes of our podcast, you know what happens when someone is, quote-unquote, growing cold and distant,
right,
being protective with their electronics.
In episode 7 about, ways to find out if your partner's cheating without digging, he was exhibiting some of those behaviors. Now, he wasn't cheating, but he was hiding something major.
Right. And so, there was times that you would call me and I was actually ring shopping and I told you I was at Best Buy, but you could kind of, I'm not a good liar. I can't, I'm just not. I cannot be, for those of you who do cheat, like, I don't want to say I give you credit, but
For those of you cheaters out there, this one's for you.
Like, I don't know how you do it, honestly. So anyway, getting back to your dad, I called him and, I said, I understand your heart's heavy right now, but, there's something I wanted to talk to you. There's a plan that I've had that's been in the works for a long period of time right now. And, I really can't reel it back in. I really can't go back at this point in time. So, I hope you don't see this as any way disrespectful or insensitive, but March 4th, we are driving down to Ohio, and I told him the plans, told him everything that was happening. I told him all my family members that were flying in. I told him how it was going to happen, and I said, and at that point in time, I plan on proposing to your daughter. And so I'm calling you today to ask for her hand in marriage. And he said, "Oh yes, absolutely." He was like, from day one, we felt like you were a part of the family. He was like, and he said the exact same thing as your mom. He said, "Take both hands in marriage." And where he took it to another level, he was like, if you need her feet and legs at the same time, take everything you need.
Daddy. That's funny. Oh, wow. It's so nice. This is funny because I'm actually hearing all these stories for the first time, too, along with our listeners. So this is actually very, very interesting. And I love to know that was going on behind my back. And I love that. I love all the preparation that you put into it. It really showed. I think the proposal was executed flawlessly. I was a hot mess crying and, all of that, which, you guys just heard a little snippet of it, of the actual moment, but I was a hot mess, and but it was all for a good reason. So we were actually there for a reason. We were actually interviewing, and how Matt caught me by surprise was we were interviewing a couple. His aunt and uncle are pastors at a church in Denver, Colorado, and we were interviewing them as relationship experts. They often talk to couples and they counsel couples through different relationship issues as well. And so just as other experts in the field, we were interviewing them for a short piece on the podcast. And of course, Matt turned that interview into a proposal. So we will be playing you. And so in just a moment, we'll go ahead and play you that actual interview, and we'll let you hear how it all came together and how it rolled into the proposal as well.
And just to give you a little synopsis on my Uncle Alvin and Aunt Carmel, they are, my Uncle Alvin is I don't even say like a father to me, he's a father to me. And they've been a mentor of mine, since day one, obviously. Have been instrumental in my life. Like this podcast, who I am today, who we are as a couple, a lot of the things and a lot of the knowledge and background that I know as far as dating, courtship, everything that I teach you guys couldn't be possible without them. I can't tell you how valuable that they've been to me and to people across the nation and across the world. So the things that you're going to hear from them are absolutely amazing. And also the way that they set up the proposal and the way that they laid the platform was absolutely phenomenal. So I'm excited for you guys to hear everything as well.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and play it for them.
Let's get it. So we're sitting here with some mentors of mine that I've known my entire life. I couldn't be here or have the podcast or the business without these two, or without the people that are here today. We're here with all my family, And we're excited that everyone gets to witness us record, and get to see this in the making. This is the first time we've recorded in front of people live. So without further ado, let me introduce Pastor Alvin Simpkins, Pastor Carmel Simpkins of Emmanuel Christian Center in Denver, Colorado.
We're so happy to be here. It's exciting to see you grow into this stage of your life. We've known you since you were just a very young man, but we always saw tremendous potential. And your uncle, which is my husband, bonded with you just right away.
You know, Matt, we're excited for what you're doing and how God is using you. The greatest need in our nation today is families, and so you're on a hot button. You're doing something that's really helping a lot of great people, and so we're excited to be here.
With that being said, could you tell us a little bit about Emmanuel Christian Center? Let's start there. How did we get started?
Emmanuel Christian Center, we started the church about 10 years ago, and we started it in a school, and now we're in our own building, and so it's going extremely well.
It's been quite the process because we started from scratch, and now we've built to a thriving congregation. We have fantastic peoples, fantastic members, but you're hitting right where we live, which is the family. And we do a lot of counseling. We do a lot of ministry to couples. So we're excited that you guys are holding up things on your end on the East Coast.
When we talk about families and when we talk about people who are dating, what are some common themes that you're seeing in the dating realm?
There's a lot of themes that we're seeing. There's a lot of things that we're seeing. But I think one of the keys to any young couple that is getting ready to get married is understanding the stages of a relationship and how it evolves and the ebbs and the flow of it. And so I think that's important. And understanding how each other think. Right brain, left brain. My wife is left brain, I'm right brain. And so if you don't understand how that works, you can clash, you can attack, and you attract, and then you attack. Right. And so in the early years of our relationship, I didn't understand that she was left brain and I was right brain, and so it almost destroyed us. Wow. And so it was very challenging and very difficult. And so that's important. You got to understand how the other person thinks. But the other thing is understand the stages and know where you are in the relationship. Understand the stages of where you are.
What are some of those stages?
When we talk about a relationship, there are 5 stages in every relationship. Number 1 is ecstasy. That is the brain on fire. When you call Sasha, her brain lights up. When she calls you, your brain lights up. Yeah. And you guys can't wait to be together. You can't wait to see each other. You can't wait to just be together because you're in a state of ecstasy.
Yeah, you can't wait till that phone call rings, and if it doesn't ring, you're going to be making the call, and love fires from all angles. Yeah.
And this is the place where couples want to stay. You want to stay in that place. That's why date nights are important. That's why vacations are important. That's why doing things that keep the fire burning in a relationship is so important. The second stage is reality. Reality is the bills, the kids, the light bill, all those things that you have to do.
I don't like the way you leave the lid off of the toothpaste.
Oh, the blood.
All the little things that we don't think about when we're in ecstasy.
All the daily little things that could really, really pull you apart. You know, and the Bible says in 1 Peter 3:7, live with them according to knowledge, that you have to understand how each other thinks. That's so important. And that's why a lot of families don't make it, is they don't understand how the person thinks. And if you don't understand how the person thinks, then you're really, really going to have a difficult time. So the first stage is ecstasy. Second stage is reality. The third stage is conflict.
Conflict happens to us all. We're all raised differently. We all have things that were poured into us that we don't even realize how in-depth they are or how ingrained they are until we get with somebody else. And it doesn't mean one person's right and one person's wrong. It's just different. Yeah. But that's where conflict begins. How are we going to settle this? And then we can become very combative.
Because life sometimes just living together can cause conflict. Right. Just being who you are, knowing that you're wired differently, can cause a lot of conflict. And a lot of couples don't know how to handle the conflict when it happens. They turn on each other rather than turning on the conflict and trying to
find a solution.
Yeah. And so conflict. So ecstasy, conflict, ecstasy, reality, conflict, Then the fourth stage is resolution. And you have to learn to resolve things because, and some things take time. You don't do it always instantly. It might take a month or a year to resolve some problems. And
But every couple has to determine what tools work best for you. Resolution is a process, and some things will work, and it's trial and error. Some things won't. We like to write things down. If we have a big conflict, rather than fighting and just going over the same things again and again, he writes down his solution. We research it. I write down mine. Then we come back together and say, okay, so what are we going to do to take the emotion out of it? Because we don't want to get into the name calling. He might talk about your mom or somebody, who kicked the dog. So a lot of stuff happens, and we don't want that to determine the relationship. So we have to determine what tools we will use to resolve conflict. So
it's not like a one-size-fits-all program. You have to find what works for you. So just because something works well for one person, one couple, doesn't mean that's going to work well for you.
Exactly. Because each person is individually wired differently by God. God made us differently, made us unique. And there's 90% of me that my wife loves, and there's 10% of me that she doesn't love. And it's the same with me. There's 90% of her that I love, and there's 10% that I don't care about. So you have to learn to stay in the 90%. If you stay in the 90%, then you can have a great time. But if she gets in my 10%, we're going to have problems. We're not going to make it next year if she gets in my 10%. My 10% is not good. Her 10%, and I know exactly what that is. So that.
Mine is really a 5.
No, it's a 10. And see, so when they move through the stages of the relationship, the ecstasy, the reality, the conflict, the resolution, in the resolution, you learn that, okay, this is her 10%. So now I'm not going to resolve anything here. So I got to move back into the 90%. And when we get into the 90%, then we can resolve some things.
And what happens if they are not able to find any resolution? Is that stage 5?
If they find no resolution, then they move to stage 5, which is destruction. And usually that's when they turn on each other. That's when they start fighting each other. That's when someone called 911 for domestic violence, or that's when someone go out and just decide that I'm not coming home ever again and just move out. It's destruction.
It can be silent destruction. It can be loud destruction, but it leads to destruction. You have to have resolution in life.
You have to live there.
As a couple, in order to build and to grow, you have to have resolution.
You got to resolve it. You got to find a way to make it work. Resolve it.
Now, I always say that relationships are like puppies. Everyone, when you see someone with a puppy, you're thinking, oh, this is cute. I want one, but then you forget about all the responsibilities behind it. One of the phrases that you say all the time is that it's like a face. You have to do something to it every day. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, marriage, a relationship is like your face. You got to do something to it every day. Every day. And everybody loves puppies. But remember, there's a front end and a back end. And they fall in love with the front end.
Exactly.
And when we had a puppy, I was responsible for the back end. And my wife she was in love with the front end. And marriages are the same way. You have to understand that marriage is like your face. You got to do something to it every day. Good marriages just don't happen.
And when you're younger, you don't need as much done to your face. And then the older you get, there's more and more maintenance that's required. So more and more money is involved. So you have to recognize you're going to have to pour more and more into your marriage. It doesn't get less as you've been married longer. There's more involved, more give and more take, more giving of the things that you want to do versus, giving in and letting them enjoy what they want to do.
What are you saying in terms of blended families?
Blended families are tough. 50% of couples that get married today are blended families. And blended families, if you're not wise and if you don't have the right tools, they can destroy you because your kids can sabotage you. Blended families, the spouse of the other of the wife's kids, they're not going anywhere. They're alive. They're going to be there. The spouse of the husband's kids, the ex-spouse, they're not going anywhere. They are people that are there. They're going to be there until they die. So you have to learn to work together. Blended families are very difficult, and you have to live and and understand what we call executive order. Executive order is the husband and the wife go away from the kids and make decisions for all the kids, and then come back to the kids and then present it to them that says, we made the decision that nobody gets a bike this year, or we made a decision that everybody gets a bike this year. But a lot of blended families, they make decisions right in front of the kids. And so then the kids go get with their ex, which is their dad or their mom, and then they create a whole dynamic that cause all kind of problems in the marriage, all kind of problems in the relationship. Blended families take real wisdom, real insight, and real understanding to make it work, because this is the toughest part. You're coming together as an instant family. So you got to have strategies.
You have to be a studier of what it takes to be a blended family. You have to read everything you can get your hands on. You have to find what works for you as individuals, because you can't put it on remote control. It doesn't happen automatically. You don't have the tools. You don't have the expertise to know. You think you do, but you won't. And then it can quickly become yours, mine, and then maybe ours and maybe not. But there's factions that will be built, and you don't want that. You want to be actually a family, not divided units who just live together.
So our executive decision that we made is that instead of everyone getting bikes, everyone's getting iPhones this year. So we started out with Cyan. So with that being said, I know you guys are big on being with someone for all 4 seasons before any type of engagement, any type of moving forward. Has that changed, or what are your thoughts? When do you know that it's time to move forward in a relationship and move it from dating to an engagement and eventually marriage?
Well, for me, it took me a month to know that I wanted to marry Karma, but she said no because I had bad credit. And so I had to wait 2 years. So I think it's the individual couple that you have to understand. And so I think going through the 4 seasons are very important, because you get to see the person in the winter, summer, spring, and the fall. And in each season brings out a different personality of an individual. So you need to see them in all 4 seasons. I really believe in that. I think that's very important, because people change. They really change. And if you don't understand that change, if you just decide to wake up one day and get married to them, and you don't understand that some of the changes that could happen in their life, it could instantly take you to stage 5, which is destruction.
We always say, we want to know as much about a person as possible. You make a choice about what you decide you want in your life. And we say, lay the cards on the table. Let everybody see, what you bring, as far as credit, history and everything. Because as long as you let me make a choice about you and you're clean and you're honest, that's fair. But don't let me find out after I've made a commitment to you. So we just believe in, laying everything on the table and saying, okay, I know that this happened in your life, but I choose to be a part of it anyway.
Seasons brings out the best in all of us, and sometimes seasons brings out the worst in all of us. And so you have to understand that I think couples should go through the various seasons, because in the summertime, you may be dating a young lady who in the summertime becomes a full-blown diva and just get naked. Just pull off everything, so how some people do, and so you got to make that decision. Well, is this the person that I want to be with in the summertime? So the seasons really tells you a lot about that person, about how they think. I'm a cold-natured person, so in the wintertime, man, I put on coats and and turn the heat up, and then she decides that she's going to go into the next room. I said, well, if you go into the next room, I'm going to the next room too. So we both went to the next room. But she said, well, you got to turn the heat off. So I turned the heat off. You got to make adjustments. So seasons can tell you a lot about the person.
Is there a certain season that someone should actually move into the engagement phase?
When you have great communication.
Yeah.
When you either communicate or you complicate. When there's communication, when you understand the other person, when you understand the stages that you're in, and you communicate. Because remember, if you don't communicate, you're only going to complicate all that wants to happen in your life. And so I think when there's great communication, that's important. Then you can work through anything.
With that being said, I found that I could work through anything with Sasha, and decided that I want to raise your children not like my own, but as my own.
Me?
Yeah.
What the hell is happening right now? What?
We've been on over 100 dates, and there's a date that we have in mind that
Oh my gosh.
that I want us to continue this courtship forever. The greatest gift that you can give anyone is the gift of your time, and I want to give you the gift of the rest of my life.
Seriously? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Will you marry me?
Of course. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys know this? It's still recording.
That was the point.
Oh my gosh. Oh. I'm so doing. Oh my God. I love you. That was really good. Excellent. Oh my God. Thank you.
And there you have it. We are engaged. So this is the thing. This is happening. We're getting married. I'm your fiance.
Yep. Hi, you're my fiance.
Hi, I'm your fiance.
I don't have a girlfriend anymore.
I don't have a boyfriend anymore. This is weird.
Yeah.
But that's it, folks. That is it. This is season 1, episode 10. It's a wrap for the season. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. We hope you learned something. If you missed any episodes along the way, of course, on iTunes and on SoundCloud, you can go back and you can listen to each episode at your own convenience. Different topics every week, and they're all now fully at your disposal.
Season 2, I'm going to tell you, you don't want to miss. We have a lot of great things that are in store that we're coming out with, and they're going to be really helpful. That are going to be very principle laced, and things that you can start and you can do today and completely change your dating or relationship. If you loved season 1, you do not want to miss season 2.
That's right. If you liked season 1, you are going to absolutely fall in love with season 2. We're not going to leave you hanging. Season 2 of the podcast will be dropping this summer. And so we'll keep you posted on Facebook and Twitter and all of our social media. But in the meantime, we won't leave you hanging. We have New Perspectives video series that's going to be starting in March.
Yeah, and that is a series that you do not want to miss either. So every Thursday morning, keep an eye out. We have a YouTube channel, New Perspectives Dating. It can go right into your inbox. I'll be posting it on all social media platforms. If you're following me on social media, New Perspectives MP on Instagram, New Perspectives by Matt Phifer on Facebook, and then obviously you can always send me a friend request on my personal Matt Phifer on Facebook as well.
So every Thursday there'll be a new video similar to the podcast, different topics every week, and these won't just be about relationships. There'll be a lot about relationships and dating, but Matt, you're going to touch on career and just general life coaching as well, right?
Absolutely. So the video series is going to be more well-rounded, definitely a lot of dating and a lot of relationships, but a lot of life principles, a lot of career principles, and it's going to be amazing.
Just being able to live your all-around best life. Awesome. Stay tuned to all of our social media. We'll let you know as soon as the video series is ready to go. But for now, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. See ya.
Drop the mic.
If there's a question of my heart, you got it. It don't belong to anyone but you. Hey, if there's a question of my love, you got it. Baby, don't worry, I got plans for you. Yeah, baby, I've been making plans. Oh, love, baby, I've been making plans for you. Yeah, baby, I've been making plans. making plans for
my sincere apology. I made it. Look, I'll admit it, albeit pathetic, that I'm in my late 20s, still never been to a wedding. Guess the idea of that lobby empty. Do not sit with me, well, it's not your fault they try to get me. Cause I'ma need the sales, cause I'm selfish. And I need you to myself. Trying to see you afloat, but don't want to see you sail. Cause I failed. I see you about to cry. Cause when I enter they city, they leave without their pride. I'm sorry. Are you staring at my comments? Fearing it's gonna always be you sharing me with all them. Wrong. How dare I say ignore them? Preparing for that day, I leave you here and switch you for them. It's hard, you know, temptation and all. Out here trying to see if my relationship's strong. Get a place in the chart, so run away from your heart. Gave this music my all, nothing is sacred no more. I'm wrong. I'm promising you better though. Your friends saying let them go. And we ain't getting any younger. I can give them now, but I can promise you forever though. That's right.
You got it. It don't belong to anyone but you. Hey, if that's a question of my love, you got it. Baby, don't worry, I got plans for you. Yeah, baby, I've been making plans. Oh, love. Baby, I've been making plans for you. Baby, I've been making plans.
We really should have a rule.
Baby,
really should have a rule.
Plans for
really should have a rule.
Yeah.
You have a new love. I'll admit it. Let me be hypothetical. The day I find a woman, I'd probably be scared to share it. The idea of me finding love would run somebody off. And true, my wall could use some plaques, but still I got a flaws. Brush you off. Yeah, I'm kinda lost. Now I'm up in the club with a couple of move-ons. From dark, good troubled heart. Went from falling in love to drunk and falling apart. This is hard. Trying to find some time to move on. So when we lost our baby, I got shady, she got too dark. I'm sorry. And I thank you, baby, you strong. My ex before you married to you solo, I say so long. Nah, good terms how that ended. But it surely put a dent on how I worry about this business. Off-white picket fences, on flights with the children, on site stealing kisses, on off nights my intentions. But I plan to do it better though. But you still saying let it go. We ain't getting any younger. Women love me now, but in your eyes you forever though.
Heart, baby. Wow. You got it. It don't belong to anyone but you. Hey, if that's a question of my love,